Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the journey that is broadcast every Friday on Cape Town TV, analog in Cape Town, and then for those who pay their way, on Channel 263, DSTV, across the country, all three bouquets. My name is MJ Lee. Welcome to the show. My young and beautiful co-host, Miss Zainab Chafeker. Your hands and mine for our special guest on the show today, the Premier of the Western Cape, the Honourable Madam Helen Zille.
I follow you no matter what. My biggest wish is to see you one day.
Premier, firstly, welcome to the journey. Welcome to the show.
That's great.
Courtesy of all our viewers and the live audience, we are honoured to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on being re-elected.
Thank you very much.
We have the one region in the country run by a female. What does that say to everyone in the Western Cape? You were mother, you were wife, politician, the Premier of the Western Cape, the electioneering campaign, an extensive period. How did you manage to juggle all of that, or between all of that?
MJ, I just do want to say that the Northern Cape is run by, or if you use those terms, has a female Premier too, and that is Sylvia Lucas. But she's the odd one out, actually, because of all the premiers in the country, she's the only one whose legal name doesn't begin with an M.
Okay.
Even mine does. Because people think I'm Zille, but my married name begins with an M, and that's the name in my ID book and in my passport and all of those things. So, in fact, the premiers all begin with an M. I thought that was rather interesting and rather strange, but I think Premier Lucas will keep her name as Lucas because no one would want to be mucus, hey?
No, definitely
So I think we have to keep that as Lucas. But, yes, it's been a very long journey and an interesting journey for me. And it's also shown me why it's so difficult for women to reach the top and have a family. Because it's that combination that's so difficult. If you want to be a committed mother, and if you want your children to remember you as a mother that was there when they needed you and that was involved in their lives as they were growing up, it's really very, very difficult to run a career when they're tiny unless you have fantastic domestic help. And my husband and I weren't well off enough to have domestic help. He was a junior lecturer at university, and I was starting my own business at the time. And it was really, really tough. I mean, today, running the two jobs that I do, being leader of the DA and Premier of the Western Cape, is easy, really easy, compared to having two babies and trying to start my own business and trying to be a dedicated mother.
Tough to juggle. Zainab, you are a young female.
Yes.
Premier Helen Zille, arguably a perfect example to many females in the Western Cape. Now, we chatted about the interview scheduled.
Yes.
It's now. That time is right now. You had a couple of interesting questions that you wanted to pose, Premier Helen Zille.
Yes. Premier, when, where and how would you like to see the Western Cape in 5 years from now?
Well, we have a very good plan which we're implementing. And in the province, provincial government in the Constitution is responsible for several things, but our most important things are education and health. Those are the things where the major power lies at provincial government level. And so my main aim has always been to improve education. That is really, really very important. Today, no one can get a job unless they've got really good skills, high levels of literacy, high levels of numeracy, high levels of information literacy. Everybody has to be technology literate as well. So we really have to improve education for everyone because education is the best opportunity you can have in life. Healthcare, we know that our healthcare system is under tremendous pressure because health care has virtually collapsed in the Eastern Cape, and so many people come here for health care, many indigent people come here, and we have to stretch our budget very far. We've built 3 new hospitals, a lovely one in Mitchell's Plain, a very good one in Khayelitsha, and another one in George, so we'll carry on rolling out the infrastructure. And then we'll also do a lot of other work. We'll do a lot of development for economic growth. I've started a new ministry called the Ministry of Economic Opportunities to ensure that when people get their education, the economy is growing quickly enough to offer people jobs so they can get their foot on the ladder and climb that ladder. So that's where I'd like to see the Western Cape in 5 years' time. And of course, we want the Western Cape to work because we want South Africa to work. So in 5 years' time, in the 2019 election, MJ and Zainab, I would like to see the DA as part of a national coalition governing nationally.
What is it like to be... What is it like to be the leader of a political party as well as the Premier of the Western Cape?
Well, you know, it's not always easy.
Yes.
Because, you know, I'm sure every mother here knows, every time you have a baby, everybody in the world thinks they can tell you how to do it. Well, it's exactly the same when you're the leader of a political party. Everyone thinks they can do it better than you. And every single person has advice that they think they must give you, but they only have a tiny little bit of information. And one of the most important things in life is to know what you don't know. And sometimes I wish that people who give other people lots of advice would also know what they don't know about a complex situation. So at the moment, as you know, there's a big debate raging about whether I should stay as Premier of the Western Cape or go back to the National Parliament and lead the party in Parliament. And everyone has a different opinion. And there are good arguments on both sides, there's no question about that. And in the past, it has at times worked very well, my being Premier of the Western Cape and leader of the party. At times it hasn't worked so well, but it can work well, and I think it'll work well again. But the bottom line for me is the question, what did the voters want? Now, you'll remember that I was both the DA's presidential candidate as well as the DA's premier candidate. And 22.2% of people voted for me nationally to be president, but in the Western Cape, nearly 60% voted for me to be premier. So I think I better listen to them and remain Premier of the Western Cape.
Winners Supermarket and Cash and Carry, Melkbos Street, Lentegeur, Mitchell's Plain, the store that gives and saves you more. 25 aisles of affordable goods, 5 special departments, every household and business catered for. Winners Supermarket and Cash and Carry, Melkbos Street, Lentegeur, Mitchell's Plain, the store that gives and saves you more. Try the following for kids and adults. Best wok noodles. It is available in 5 delicious flavors, also available wholesale and retail only for now at Winners Supermarket as well as Winners Cash and Carry, retail and wholesale, exclusive for now to Winners Supermarket as well as Winners Cash and Carry. Here's the secret. It's part and parcel of my Kung Fu martial arts diet as well as part and parcel of my preparation for the World Champs. Try it out. Enjoy it. Come down to Winners Supermarket and Cash and Carry for these fantastic specials.
As a woman in a so-called male-dominated world, surely Madam Premier faces many challenges. How do you, as a female, address this?
You know, I must be quite honest. I've never in my life felt that I was at any disadvantage being a woman.
Okay.
Except for maybe two things. I think the basis of women's marginalization in society is the fact that we have babies and that men don't. Now, it's fabulous to have babies, and nothing that any man can do is as big an achievement as producing a new life. Although men are involved, one way or the other, the person who grows the baby and who has the baby is a woman, and no experience in life, not anyone can compete with that. So it is a fabulous, fabulous privilege and an enormous responsibility. But when you've got a baby, any person who's had a baby will know how it consumes your life. And how a responsible mother for years and years and years will focus on the best interests of her child. And that's why the model has developed in society that the man goes out to work and the woman stays home and raises the babies. That's why that model has developed. But today, society is realizing that women can contribute a lot to the economy, a lot to the society. But then the big question is, how do you balance the two roles? And often if you take 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years out to raise your children, it's very difficult to get back into a career. You lose your confidence often. It's very difficult to get back and compete. People see you differently. The world has changed. You've lost out on a lot of experience. You aren't in with the technology. All of that stuff makes it very, very difficult. So that's why it's so hard for women to get back in. And only a very few have families that earn enough money to get really good help with raising their children so that the women can be free to be economically and socially active as well. So this is a big, big dilemma. The other terrible, terrible thing that oppresses women is men who prey on them sexually and then they get pregnant at 13, 14, 15, 16. And when a woman has a baby, when she's still a child, she will remain poor and often marginalized for the rest of her life, and so will her child. And these are the areas which really oppress women. So I've been blessed. I grew up in a family with strict parents, and there was no question of having babies or messing around when you were a teenager and stuff like that. And I'm very grateful to my parents for watching over us so closely. They made sure we got our education, they made sure we were married, and then you could have your children, but not before that. And those rules are so important in society to protect especially women. To protect especially women. Because in our society, far too many men make babies and then they walk off and you never see them again. And it is one of the curses of our society. It is really one of our biggest problems in society, that men make babies and walk away from the responsibility of raising them. So I'm now a long way from you asking me what challenges I faced as a woman. My answer is that because I've never experienced any of the ills that I've just spoken about, I've felt very few of the disadvantages of being a woman, except the absolute exhaustion, and it was exhaustion of a level that I'll never be able to explain, of working throughout the night, because I ran a public policy consultancy. So working throughout the night, getting papers and stuff ready for my clients, and then working throughout the day with my kids. And I was exhausted, often. So that was very, very, very tough. And that's why everything that faces me today is so easy compared to that. But also the other difference, and I don't know if other women here have experienced that, is that if you're a woman in a leadership position and you give a strong lead, people say, oh no, she's a dictator, she's a tyrant, blah, blah. But if men do that, no, they're strong leaders and they're giving direction, but no one likes to take it from a woman. So that's the other disadvantage I found. But otherwise, there really are very few disadvantages for me. But as I say, I'm one of the lucky ones. I had fabulous parents. They gave me great guidance. My father was strict. They made us finish our education, all of us. And then they made sure that when I got married, I married a fabulous man. Of course, it was my choice, and my parents tried not to interfere. But when they didn't like a man I brought home, I knew it immediately. They didn't even have to say a word. I could see their faces. And when I brought my husband home, the one who's my husband now for 32 years, I knew they liked him. And I'm glad I married him.
Premier, just in conclusion, 20 years of... We're just warming up.
Yeah.
We can carry on. Should we carry on? Should we? Okay, so let's do it this way. It's The Journey with me, MJ Lee and Zainab Chafeker. Broadcast every Friday on Cape Town TV Analog and across the country DSTV. Our special guest before a live audience, the Honourable Helen Zille, the Premier of the Western Cape. Is that enough to warm up? Premier, we need to thank you. We've had MEC Albert Fritz on The Journey, on the show. Some of the MECs are obviously outgoing as a result of a reshuffle in the cabinet. Outgoing MEC Donald Grant was also on the show.
But he's now in Transport and Public Works.
Transport.
So he's got a huge portfolio. With all the taxi wars and everything, he's got a lot of work on his plate.
Okay, hopefully that will be sorted.
Hopefully.
Kind of an Achilles heel, it has become. And then also MEC Tiens Botha.
He's
also
in health,
been on the show.
But he
remains.
Yeah, he remains because he's doing a very good job in the health portfolio.
So let's look at 20 years of democratization, 20 years of integration. The DA has grown from 4%
1.7%, please.
1.7?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've actually added that on.
Yeah. Okay. You're making us bigger than we were.
To a shade of, what, just over 23%, close to 23% nationally?
That's right.
That is huge.
That is huge.
It is huge. Where do we see the country 20 years from now? What teething problems have we experienced in terms of a fledgling, new-coming democracy going forward? And youth in the Western Cape, there is the argument that there's so many opportunities, but our youth are not grasping those opportunities. Is that a valid argument?
Well, you know, I hope that in 20 years' time we'll have a DA government, and I hope, nationally of course, and I hope that the voters will hold us to account. Because the great risk is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the very famous dictum. And it's good in the Western Cape because we have voters that are very thoughtful, and they don't just summa vote for you, they think about it, and they hold you accountable, and I hope voters in the rest of the country are the same by then. But you know, when I look at the youth, and I worry about that more than I worry about everything else, the government's job is to make sure that everyone has rights and opportunities. Every individual's job is to make sure they use that opportunity. And so if everyone takes that responsibility seriously, if people only have babies when they are prepared to really take responsibility for raising them, if the government really takes responsibility for providing basic services, proper healthcare, proper schooling, all of the things like sewerage and refuse removal that make life bearable, if kids don't start taking drugs and finish their education, and then the government gives them bursaries to go to university, and then they use those opportunities and they get educated either at a technikon or a college or the university, and don't have babies until they found the right partner and get a job in a growing economy, we can beat poverty in one generation. And so we all have to work together to achieve that end. But it starts, believe me, it starts in the family. No government can compensate for broken families.
So now we've just warmed up, and I think we now get to the actual crux of the conversation. We may have to part from one another, sadly. Zainab, any closing remarks from your side or questions you would like to pose to the Premier?
You know that my Muslim name they gave me at the Mawlid is also Zainab.
MashaAllah.
No, MashaAllah.
Zainab?
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much, Madam Premier, for speaking to us. It's been an honor.
It's been great. Thank you very, very much for having me.
A round of applause to our special guest.
Thank you very much.
On The Journey, broadcast Fridays, 6:30 p.m. on CTV Analog in Cape Town, until such time that we actually go digital across the board. We hope that's going to happen soon. But if you have access to DSTV, Fridays 6:30 p.m., we once again honored to have you on the show. I hope you will enjoy some of the talents that will be displayed on stage.
As long as I don't have to judge.
Okay.
Because I want everyone to win. But in politics, I only want the DA to win.
All right, here we go. Round of applause to our guest, the Premier Helen Zille.
Thank you very much. Well, I'll hug you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Try the following for kids and adults. Best wok noodles. It is available in 5 delicious flavors. Also available wholesale and retail only for now at Winners Supermarket as well as Winners Cash and Carry. Retail and wholesale. Exclusive for now to Winners Supermarket as well as Winners Cash and Carry. Here's the secret. It's part and parcel of my Kung Fu martial arts diet as well as part and parcel of my preparation for the World Champs. Try it out. Enjoy it. Come down to Winners Supermarket and Cash and Carry for these fantastic specials. Many people have asked about the music on the show. It comes from Irfan Makki, international inspirational artist, all the way from Canada. Now, the title track of the show, The Journey, the title of that specific track, I Believe. If you're wondering what the song is about, let's show you the music video. Up next, Irfan Makki, I Believe. I'm sure you're going to enjoy.
When you're searching for the light and you see no hope inside, be sure and have no doubt, He is always close to you. He's the one who knows you best. He knows what's in your heart. You'll find your peace at last if you just have faith in Him. You're always in my heart and mind. Your name is mentioned every day. I follow you no matter what. My biggest wish is to see you one day. 'Cause I believe
harmony. He fought for peace and liberty, and never would he hurt anything. He was a mercy for mankind, a teacher till the end of time.
I'm so sorry. If only I had just one last chance. I'm so sorry. But now it's too late to explain. I only live for today, and never really thought about anyone else. It was all about me, myself, and I. Never did I ever stop for a moment to think of what's staring at me.